thank you very much. You'll never know what it means to us. I also want to thank Brian for giving us a short notice and trying to get this together today, but it turned out to be great. And also, this is a dedication. I thought I was wrong. I don't know if y'all know, Roseanne Perry was one of our sisters here at the Girls Ranch. October 2005, she passed away with cancer. And she went home to be with the Lord, which she's in a great, great place. It has been 30 years since we left this place, and coming back today has been a dream come true for all of us. And I also have a few things to say about Rose. My fondest memory of Rose, and I remember her, and matter of fact, I put one on the board. She would sit at her desk and would write letters to people because she loved doing that to make somebody's day. Whether it was a birthday, anniversary, or if she knew anyone was sick, she would send them a letter or card to make their day. Rose had a loving heart. She always saw the good in people. Another thing about Rose, she loved her family, Paul, Jenny, and Joe. They were her life. I remember I used to go get her a lot because she didn't drive. And I'd take her shopping all the time. And even though I lived in Smyrna, I made the drive to Franklin to pick her up and take her shopping or wherever she wanted to go. And I always begged her to come and spend the night with me at my house. But at the very end, she would say to me, even though it was like 6 or 7 at night, she said, "Can you take me home?" And of course, how can I say no to her? Because she loved Paul, Jenny, and Joe very much, and she hated to be any time away from them. So I took her, and I never regretted anything I did for her. I always say, being in the mountains of Kentucky, I remember her always rocking me, and I always said she was my mother, my sister, and my best friend. She will never be forgotten. She will always live in our hearts and our memories. And I appreciate y'all coming in her dedication today. Thank y'all for coming. Also, Bob Sullins, we would like for you to come up here for a little bit and speak.
Can I define a little?
Yeah.
Very short. I'm Bob Sullins, and I had the honor of being president of the National Rotary Club in the 1980 time frame. I heard a sermon not long ago, and our pastor, Davis Chapel, was talking about imagine. And then just last month, I was at Belmont University, and the senior financial editor from the Forbes magazine was there, and he was talking about technology, and he was talking about you're going to just have to imagine what it's going to be like technology-wise in the future. Well, I wanted to tell them all that over 35 years ago, there was a guy by the name of Jack Bouchard who imagined about what the National Rotary Club could bring to this part of Tennessee, Williamson County, us establishing the Girls Ranch here. Jack had been involved in the youth town in Jackson, and he had the idea of us getting involved in bringing the Girls Ranch here to Williamson County. And I'm saying some things that I know maybe deviating from the real word. But Jack Bouchard is standing right back here. And Jack, do you want to say anything about those early years of us getting started?
I think he just left.
Oh, did he
He
really?
did, he scooted out.
I had that segue. I'd been practicing that segue. We got started too late, didn't we? But it was Jack Bouchard who played this great role in this place. And he fostered it, and was involved in it. And following Jack was Buddy Benedict. And Buddy continued to support the Girls Ranch and the programs that we had, that we would fill the buses up and bring them out here and have our meetings out here in various things. The Rotary Club also was involved in the Tennessee Preparatory School, TPS. We had a scout troop out there. And I can remember the scout group coming out here because this was an old scout camp out here. We would have camping trips out here. And when we decided that we were going to build this ranch out here, we incentivized the scouts to come out one year during a camping trip and to move the rocks off of this place. Well, let me tell you, we had wheelbarrows, but when Willie Hardison, the scoutmaster, incentivized them to move the rock, they used their t-shirts, their jackets, whatever, who could get the biggest pile of rocks. And I don't know what he offered them, but it was enough to motivate them to move it quickly. And we moved more rocks around here than any front-end loader probably ever did, or equal to it anyway. Another person from the Rotary Club that got really involved in our program is Ed Birchlight. His sweet wife, Ann, are here, and Ed and Ann, I can remember, and she reminded me of the times that she spent here and going out to other Rotary clubs and other organizations to just tell the story, wanting to tell the story about the Girls Ranch. And people loved to hear what was happening out here and the impact that it was having on young people's lives. And Bill Blevins, and my responsibility when I was president of the Rotary Club was, how can we get this thing paid off? Well, we had a capital campaign, and we loaded all those guys in their downtown suits and on a bus, and we came out here and we burned a note out here on one of our Monday Rotary meetings. We came out and had that here. A great celebration because it allowed us to have this facility that you all see now and how it has expanded. Some of the things that really struck home to me when Brian called and said, would you say something? I just remember some of the things that were taught here, like hard work, and how it was important to improve every day, especially as a person. I remember him talking about sticking together and being in sport terms, being a good teammate. Everybody had a little responsibility to do something, and you needed to be sure you did what it was what you were supposed to be doing. And there was a spirit of devotion and enthusiasm for the family and each other and having each other's backs. I heard something just this past week that probably would apply here. There weren't that many rules. They're just standards of expectation. And that was very, very important from what I saw as a member of the Downtown National Rotary Club of this place out here, were the standards that were set and how the bar was set for the girls who were here. I also heard that it would have been appropriate back then if they were around, but I heard somebody saying, I want to take the iPhone and change it to a Wii phone. And that was what was happening out here. There were no eyes. It was all we. And they looked after each other. The thing that I also remember and want to say is, I want to thank to all those who were involved for being a blessing to this community and to the lives of so many people. And thank you for allowing us to come remember what it was like 35 years ago, and when this place had that kind of a heartbeat, and how we did what we thought we ought to be doing in the expectation of trying to help others.
Okay.
I had it in my hand and I just didn't even think of it. I want everyone to have one of these. I think we have enough. This is called a hug coupon. It has no moving parts, no batteries, no monthly payment, and no fees. It's inflation proof and it's non-taxable. In fact, it's quite relaxable. It can't be stolen and won't pollute. One size fits all, and it will not dilute. It uses little energy, but the yield results enormously. It relieves tension and your stress, invigorates your happiness, revives your tension, relieves your tension and your stress, invigorates your happiness, combats depression and makes you beam. It elevates your self-esteem. Your circulation, it corrects without unpleasant side effects. It's the perfect drug. There's nothing like a simple hug. And of course, it's fully returnable. This coupon entitles you to one free hug. It's redeemable at any participating human being. Those are for you.
Okay, I went out of order, so I need Grant to come up. We were supposed to do a devotion for right quick. Sorry, Grant. Got out
If
of
I could
order.
just take a minute before you, when I saw this place, I had said, what a wonderful place to find the best in people and allow those to help other people, because just the nature and the space. And it's so nice to know I didn't have to start anything. It was all there 30 years ago, and it's been going on for a long time right in this place. So it's a very sacred, healing place. It's just a story that needs to keep on going on. So I'm glad that the tradition is already here for that. Yeah.
Hey guys, so I'll just give a devotional. I'm not real big on speaking in front of people, but this is a word of cause, I believe. And I just came to mind of verses. God spoke to Paul about, "My grace is sufficient for you. My strength is made perfect in weakness." And I was listening to a radio program recently, and this man was telling a story about growing up in a dysfunctional family, and his father walked out on him. He had the boy, when he was a boy, he had an older brother and 2 sisters. And the father walked out on him, and his mother was quite, she wasn't the most stable person, but she finally met a man. She was in love with him, and he even wanted to marry her, but on one condition, and the condition was that she put the 4 kids up for adoption. And she actually did that. And the youngest, the 8-year-old boy, and he was grown up now and talking on the radio, said that his first day, his stepmother threw him up on the kitchen counter and held a butcher knife over his eye and said she's going to ram it through if he didn't behave himself in the house. She was infertile, and she sort of saw him as you know, a daily reminder of her failure to her husband, I suppose. But, so he was raised in that house. And he had sisters there that one, you know, wasn't related to him through blood or anything. And he took daily beatings and just a lot of verbal abuse and everything. And he would hide in the closet and daily, and just would grow very bitter. Very good person. They would actually attend church and seem like a good family and everything, but he would go through that personally. And one day he saw a stack of books in the dark closet. It was quite a big closet, and it was a Bible picture book. And in there he saw Jesus getting whipped with a cat of nine tails, and a little bit caption said, "He did this for you." And this was his words, and this was the only time we got kind of choked up. He said that the Holy Spirit filled the room, and there was just a turning point in his life there. He wept tears, but not exactly of sadness. You know, I don't know if anyone who's a Christian knows what that's like when you weep when the presence of God is with you and loving you and comforting you. And so that was a real turning point in his life. And he went away to college, and his stepmother, his first year, would send letters to him telling him that he'd never make it, and just awful letters. And his sisters would make excuses, you know, for their mother and everything. But he decided to begin to practice his faith, and he got her a Christmas gift, and of course it made her angry. But he decided to start reaching out to her and praying for her. And he noticed that there's a real shift in the relationship, and he kind of got back his control, you know, of the situation and of his life. And she never had power over him again. And so the verse, "My grace is sufficient for you, my strength is made perfect in weakness." People say the Bible's full of contradictions sometimes. I think it's full of paradoxes, and things seem to conflict, but they actually do go together. And God's ways are not our ways, and He comforts us. Jesus, He comes to us, you know, not when we're on our highest and when we're our strongest, but in our lowest places, in our human condition of sinfulness. That's where He comes to us, and that's where we meet Him. We meet Him at the cross in that very same way. And that's just about all I have to say. And that just reminds me of this place and all that God does for us. And I'm very thankful for that. Thank you.
Okay, if any of the girls would like to come up here and say, you know, something, you can. Does anyone want to speak? Give their testimony, or no? Well, I'll give mine, because our life, and always to this
Ed
day.
came home and said, Ed came home from a Rotary meeting. And I had gone to a lot of social functions for the Rotary as just his companion. And he said, Ann, I've got something I think you would enjoy. And at that time, most of the Rotary members were men, and we were called Rotary Anns. So it hit us, that hit. I hope that I can I remember when Roseanne Viney, Janelle came, and I always heard about Wallace. But this was a girls' ranch, and I didn't meet Wallace till later. But I just have a lot of memories of Christmases here. And as you all are familiar with an angel tree now in the mall and such, I went around and spoke to other organizations, home demonstration clubs, contractors, because my husband was a contractor or subcontractor, spoke to their auxiliaries. And I said, would you just accept one name here and give this girl a present? So I put all their names in this. At the time, there weren't but like 2 or 3, and then a couple of them didn't last. And then when you 3 came, y'all created the nucleus here. And with Wanda's help, Jerry's help, getting you to church and back in snow. I went to Hillsborough School. I went to Forest Hills Baptist Church to watch you sing. Spent the night out here one time. It got really bad when I was coming home. But all I can say is Ed Birthright had my back. He gave me the energy and the time and money and everything. He said, honey, you just do what you need to do. And it gave me that. I don't have any of these wonderful cards to give out like Bob Sullins, but I had a lot of hugs in my pocket.
That's right, you did. You did.
This is true.
John, thanks for the honors.
See, there you go. Good.
My name is Jennifer Spicer. I come here, I was here about 2.5 years. I can remember the Vickies, and they lived like Vickies. There was 2 of them, and Vicki Maitland was teaching us how to do biscuits. She would make homemade biscuits about every morning. She taught me how to do my laundry. She was like my little mother hen. I really don't have any more good memories. No, thank you.
I'm Josie. I lived here from 83 to
86.
I remember those 2. I know that we spent a lot of nights back there together contemplating what we were going to turn out to be. So, I don't know, I guess if I thank anybody, I thank a lot of the people from the Rotary, they were great with us. But other than that, I thank the girls. We stuck together. We made it. We made it. That being said.
And I was here from August of '84 until 88 or 89, so the middle of my freshman year. And we did have some good times around Christmas, and the Rotary Club would always do things for us, and other groups as well. And of course, we did have all our lovely animals to take care of. We had early to take care of the chickens and trying to sell the eggs at church. And then we got rid of the chickens and then had the lambs and had to halter break them and then take them to the 4-H and show them there. We did stick together, and it really, I don't think we could have made it if it wasn't for each other. There were good and bad times. Of course, I wish Miss Cogville had been our house parent, because unfortunately we were not the greatest, unfortunately, but we made it though. Thank you.
She does.
Bonnie,
She does.
Bonnie, you gotta say something. Yeah.
I'm not supposed to speak in public.
You're right.
I'll sit down though, with
Jean, how are you? Good seeing y'all. That's fun. And would you want to say a few words? Y'all want to?
well, gosh, I don't know. We got connected with the Girls Ranch through the Seroptimist Club. And it was having boys at home and then being thrown in with girls. It's like, oh my goodness, what do they like? What do we do? And so I remember we got, wish I could remember his name. There was a guy that was in the administration of Harvey's, and I don't know if you remember or not, but he allowed us to take everybody down and completely outfit them. And they just had a ball doing that. we took Roseanne, the first time she'd ever been out to eat. And we put this menu in her hand and just thought, you know, she didn't know what to order. And we had to kind of help her along with that. And then we took her to her first movie. We got our oldest son to go with us so she wouldn't feel like she was just stuck with two old people. But we went to see Animal House, excuse me.
That's an excellent movie.
We did not know that was the first movie she had ever seen. So we would have started out a little slower. And then we got her ears pierced at the mall out at Hickory Hollow. And my husband said later, he said, "Do you think that was all right? Should we have gotten permission?" I said, "I don't know, it's too late now." But we thoroughly enjoyed the girls and just enjoyed being associated with them and coming out. I know we went fishing out there one time, and I would be doggone if I had a good hook with a worm on it and right in front of a bass, and that thing would just swim around, never would catch on. Everybody else was catching fish, but I wasn't. But it's just been a joy to know all the girls that have gone through here, and of course we miss Roseanne.
Yes.
She was a sweetheart, and I just can't understand y'all not get to keeping the chickens. I raised chickens and I love them.
Now you can't dog the chickens too much, because it's
Yes,
right here. A lot of effort into those chickens.
I remember.
And they were a good lesson, because I grew up with chickens, and they are a good lesson.
Well, I always gave my allowance to whoever wanted to make extra money to clean out my pen, so I was not. Okay, Mom and Dad, y'all want to speak? Daddy?
Dad, you want to say?
Mama, you get the platform.
How are you? You're looking good.
Just go around and take a picture.
Well, I've had several people ask me tonight how I ended up here. So when I was beginning to tell the little girl, we had to be quiet, so I won't tell you how I ended up here. Several years ago, Jerry and I just built a brand new home in Jackson, Tennessee. And Jerry was real sick. I just almost lost him. He dehydrated and had a heat stroke, and just, you know, I just almost lost him. And just prior to that, Brian had Rye syndrome, and I know there's a doctor here, so he probably knows what that is. And I almost lost him. And so I learned something from that. When conflict comes into your life and bad things come in your life, there's something good right around the corner. I promise you that. So one night we started church, Jerry backed up, and I guess Brian must have left his tricycle in the driveway, and Jerry backed over it and didn't knock over the gas tank. So him and the boys went on in the house, and I left to go to church, but I felt so compelled. I thought, I've got to go, and I didn't understand why, but I knew I had to go that night. So I told Jerry, I said, well, I'm going to go over here and see if Joe and Mike will take me to church. So she told me, she said, I'll take you, but I can't come get you. I'll get a ride home. So after church, I was asking somebody if they wanted to carry me home. They said, no, Deborah Yelverton's going to take you home. And I said, Deborah Yelverton? And this was a girl that was in Utah. And I really had not got to know her good. She hadn't been there long. Well, all the way home, that's all she talked about was Utah, how bad they need house parents. And she said, Wanda, I'll be honest with you. The Lord has just laid you and Jerry on my heart. Sorry. Well, prior to this, in church 2 or 3 Sundays in a row. I felt like the Lord was calling me to be a missionary. And I kept putting it off, because I thought it meant I'd have to go to a foreign country or something. And so finally I told him, I said, okay, Lord, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it, I don't care. And so then Deborah, when we got in town, she said, well, I'm going to get out and I'm going to go and talk to Jerry. I said, Deborah's real sick. She said, I don't care if I talk to him anyway. So she went in there with a little bread and brown little bitty things, and she was so excited when she talked about it. You couldn't have candies when you get excited too. And so she, when she left, boys started saying, oh, Mom, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. So we did end up in Utah at the boys' ranch. Grant was born there just before we come to the girls' ranch. He was born there. And so one day I went in, and I'm going to tell this since my son's not here, my oldest son's not here. But the tutor had told me that he was concerned about my oldest son because something was really bothering him. And he said, I don't think you should sacrifice his life for this. Well, I knew he didn't understand that God had called us to do that, and we had no choice but to stay till he was through with us. So anyway, it wasn't a few days after that, I went in Brad's bedroom, and he was sitting on the floor crying. And he, on every page, he had wrote, I hate Utah, every line, back and front. And I knew something was really wrong, I didn't know what, and he would not tell me. I always kept everything inside. So I carried him back there in my bedroom, and we read the Bible and prayed together, and he said, Mama, he was in the 7th grade at this time. He said, Mama, this is what I miss. We had no personal time with our own children. It was all about other children. And it was just all one big family. When me and Jerry were concerned, we loved them all, but we didn't really have personal time with their own. And he was missing that, and I don't know what else had happened, but me and Jerry went on a vacation to Arkansas, and we decided that the Lord was through with us there. And we were going to come back and give our resignation. And as soon as we walked in the door, the relief house parent said, you'll never guess what happened. And I said, what? She said, Norman and Larry Ross with the girls' ranch. I said, y'all, this is the way God works. I mean, nothing's ever by accident. If you're a Christian, it's not about you, it's about him. And so we ended up at the girls' ranch. And I was so happy because I always wanted a little girl, and then I got a whole bunch of little girls. So we were here almost 3 years, I think. And then we quit for a while, and then Walter Hall. We decided we wanted to go back being house parents, and we had applied at Baptist Children's Home. And Walter Howell had contacted us, and what I didn't know at the time, Baptist Children's Home, he called him and asked him if he'd hire me and Jerry again. He said I already had, and he told me the story because he hadn't. But anyway, we ended up in Utah again in Jackson, and we stayed there 5.5 years. So for 10.5 years, that's what we did. And you know, the Lord it was just, I can't tell you the lessons that we received. I just can't tell you. Jerry was a lot better at it than me. He was so good, especially with the boys.
He was making good with the girls too.
I would say amen.
Amen. But of course, we had Wallace at the boys' ranch when we first went there, and then when we went back, we had him. And we had Janelle and Fanny and Rose and a bunch of other little girls when we came here. But I just want y'all to know I appreciate everything y'all ever done, all of you. And you are very special. And birthright. And you too, Jean Coates. And she followed me, she ended up working hospital with me. And all of you, everything you've ever done, you've been a blessing to us. And we thank you.
Well, I can't say that hadn't already been said. She said it all. As you know, it's been a blessing for the children. I mean, it wouldn't always be easy because you don't work, you got to work with your own children. But yeah, well, the outside all the time. And that's real stressful and hard. But through it all, it's a blessing. I just thank God for everybody who had anything to do with it. I just thank you for coming all over me. God, a blessing to us today. And come back in. An opportunity to come back in. That's really all I've got to say. It's just been great.
Okay, I think everybody's. Okay, I think this ends it. Grant, you want to say the blessing? Anybody that wants to say anything, or?
Lord, thank you for this day, thank you for this time sharing. Lord, just ask that you bless this food and may you just honor it.
Amen.
And everybody's invited.
That's it.
Some of the good barbecue.